Hi there, and good morning from the beautiful French countryside. It's a lovely, warm autumn morning here in September. So, if you guys watched my last video, you will know that I have been living off grid for the past month in the south of France, and I've also been working online or attempting to work online, should I say, while living off grid. And in today's video, I was really called to kind of share a few reflections that I had about this experience of, being a bit more connected to nature, slowing down a little bit, and what I kind of learned from that experience, as well as some maybe tips on how you can work online if you want to live off grid. Is it even possible? What is it really like? So that's really what I'm going to be diving into in today's video. So for those of you who don't know who I am, hi, my name is Una, and I create videos on how you can work online while traveling the world. I talk more specifically about work-life balance, about stress management, and how you can really achieve your dreams without compromising your health. So if any of that resonates with you, or if you're just curious, a curious being, feel free to hit the like button, feel free to hit the notification bell, and of course subscribe to be notified of future videos. I try to post something every week. It doesn't usually end out like that, but if you subscribe, then you'll definitely be notified whenever my next video comes out. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So for context, I essentially used to work primarily for an American company. I worked freelance for them, and essentially what happened is in July that contract was terminated suddenly, and which is all totally fine. It's nothing too dramatic, but it did mean that all of a sudden we really had to rethink our plans, our finances, and kind of what was next for us in life. I was already in a phase where I was thinking, like what's next? What's next for us? Where do we want to go? We were already really considering this move to Berlin, and so yeah, I kind of thought, well, this is a really great opportunity to actually take the space to really just process the last several years, because it has been an intense few years with COVID and lots of things going on in my personal life, and to just kind of figure out, okay, what is the life that I want to create for myself? And that's something that I, do a lot with my clients, but, to actually really take the space to be able to do it for yourself is a whole other thing, as we know. So that's kind of what brought us here to the south of France. And a friend of my husband, he actually lives on this old watermill, which is off-grid, and it's really, really lovely. And so we basically had been staying in a tent there, and it was really amazing. I mean, I was a little bit nervous about it in the beginning because they don't have hot water, they don't have electricity or internet or any of that kind of stuff. And I've stayed off grid before, but I've never tried to do it for a whole month, or never tried to do it while also working. So I was really kind of curious about what this experience would be like. And yeah, so here are some reflections that I have from this experience. So the first thing is that I think it was really, really good for me and my mental health to actually spend time closer in nature. So that's one thing, if you're someone who works online, or you're a digital nomad, you probably spend a lot of time indoors staring at a screen, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. You're usually in some dark room or whatever, and I just spent so much of my time indoors typing away at the laptop that I just started to feel a little bit disconnected from just the world around me, and from nature, and a little bit ungrounded. And what I really realized from this time is it literally forced me to slow down, because I didn't have a choice. Once we went home, I couldn't work anymore, I couldn't do anything else. I had to just stop and slow down. So it was just the way it was, which was really, really interesting for me. But it also meant that now, if I'm kind of looking back on how I feel now versus how I felt a month ago, it's much more centered, it's much more relaxed. It's much more free and spacious, and yeah, I just feel happier actually, just to have had more space to just not think all the time. Because that's the other thing, is when you're working online, or just, I mean, having any job, it doesn't necessarily have to be working online, but especially when you have your own business, you're putting yourself under a lot of pressure to perform, to succeed, to do more, and you kind of feel like if you're not doing anything, maybe, it's not good enough. And that's something that I've really been working on for the past 5 years. But this experience of just radically, forcing me to center and be with that was, I think, such a great transition. So I think something that I'm really going to be taking with me forwards, as a kind of a life lesson, is to actually really take more time in nature, but also to really, really give myself some space, in the day. So my plan going forwards is not to kind of get another job, but just to focus on my own business, but to actually do it in a way where I have more time in the mornings to really just do the things that actually give me that space and give me the kind of clarity and nourishment that I need. So things like my spiritual practice, like going for walks, and just not immediately having to get on a Zoom call early in the morning. And I think that's something I really want to try to kind of honor. I've already since then, had people being like, can you do a meeting at 9 a.m. or, can we do this or that? And I'm just saying no. I'm saying, oh, I'm not available. So that's the other thing, is kind of setting really empowering boundaries. So, this is something that I've really been working on, because I kind of recognize that a lot of my challenges, when kind of working for other people, and even working for myself, was not being able to set boundaries, and then feeling frustrated that my boundaries that I hadn't set weren't respected. So that's something that I am also really working on as well, is kind of thinking, okay, how do I really want to honor my time? Right? Do I want to give this time away, or is it okay to kind of honor that and use that for myself, even if it's something that maybe other people don't value? Like, it's time for me to listen to my audiobook, or it's time for me to go for a walk, or to do my spiritual practice. So that's been a really, really big one for me, honestly. And yeah, it's something that I feel is going to be very significant going forwards to really becoming a happier and also a healthier person. And then the third thing, this is more of a practical thing, but yeah, working online while living off grid is honestly not that practical at all. In fact, it was quite challenging, because where we were living, so we could go and work, and I could share an office with Rude's friend, but Rude was there. Rude's my husband, by the way, in case you're like, who's Rude? Enter stage left. So I was able to share an office with them, but there isn't really, at least where we were here, there isn't really a private place where you can do Zoom calls. And for my consultations, that was a bit challenging, because I was always trying to search for a place. So I think something I would really like to do differently if I'm going to be staying off grid again, is to somehow purchase some sort of dongle data thing, because there is actually 3G. It's not like amazing, but you can do calls without video, and I think that would have made a big difference, because then I could have just literally sat in the tent and do the Zoom calls, which would have been better for some circumstances, because sometimes, I personally find it really difficult to focus, even if other people, if I have my headphones in and I'm doing a call, a business call with a client, they can't hear the noise around because these cancel the noise, but then I'm kind of distracted. And so I think that, that's something I really want to shift and change for next time. So I'm thinking, in France, you can actually buy these sort of, what are they called? SIM cards. My gosh, I'm losing my words. You can buy these SIM cards that really have a lot of data, like 80 gigabytes or 250 gigabytes. So I think I'm just going to do that next time. And I think that's going to make a big difference. Or honestly, just see if there's a way. And I would have to visualize this a bit better, and obviously financially need to think about this. But actually to take this entire month of August off. So that's something I'm thinking for next time, is if I'm able to kind of plan my year, plan my projects, if we're able to live off grid, like, one thing that's really good about it is it saves a ton of money. So as long as you don't need to earn money that month to pay off things from the previous months. It is actually doable. So, I mean, I don't know how realistic it's going to be, but that's something I think I'm going to try and experiment with for next time. And yeah, the other thing is extreme temperatures. So, I mean, with global warming, that's something that's really kind of impacting a lot of us around the world. And I think the south of France is no different. I mean, the last month, we've literally had days where it was 11 degrees centigrade and days where it was 40 degrees centigrade. So that's like a 30-degree temperature difference, almost a 28-degree temperature difference over the space of a few days. And when you're living outside and you're connected with the elements, when it's 40 degrees or when it's 11 degrees, it's very difficult to actually manage and function things. And I think that's something that was a little bit unexpected for me, because I've been coming to this place since I was a little girl, and normally the temperature in August is pretty temperate, it's pretty chill. But I think with global warming and with the climate change over the next 3 to 5 years, it's really something to kind of visualize and consider, is to have an option or some kind of other alternative, because staying in 40 degrees in a tent was really challenging because it's so hot, so you can't be in there during the day, and there isn't always necessarily shade or anything like that. And then when it was cold and it was raining, and obviously the bathroom is outside because it's off-grid, so it's like a sawdust toilet, and I mean, we were able to actually figure out a way to warm the water, so that was really, really good. But yeah, these things make a big difference. So yeah, I think that's something that to really, really consider if you're considering staying off-grid for a period of time, is to really visualize whether or not you're okay with those extreme temperatures, and to plan accordingly. So yeah, like in short, is it, what is it really like? I think it's intense, it's challenging to be off grid and to work online, because you have to suddenly consider a whole load of things that maybe you didn't have to consider if you're just working from home, like how you're even going to get to a place that has internet, how you're going to get the rest of your work done, where you're going to charge your devices. Like that was a huge one, because if I was working on a project, say on my computer, and then the computer would die, and then I would have to go and charge it, but then because I'm in a public place, I have to be with the laptop while it's charging. So just things like that to consider, is that you maybe want to make sure that you're very spacious with your schedule if you're planning on living in a place where it's more off grid. But it is 100% possible if you want to make it work. And if it's something that you try out, I mean, these are just a few reflections that I had. I personally really enjoy watching these types of videos, so I really hope that you enjoy this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the vibe of my channel, go ahead and subscribe. I love to connect with new people. And like I mentioned previously, I share a lot of content about working online and traveling the world, and in a slightly unconventional way, as you can see. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I'm going to end this video just by giving you a bit of a panorama. This is this amazing Tibetan Buddhist temple called Lerabling in the south of France. Here you can see the field I'm just sitting in. And I think I'm just going to sit here for a few more minutes, maybe do a bit of meditation actually, and I will catch you next time.